Hi everyone, this is Alan Rosinski of Metro Manhattan Office Space. Good evening. Question which frequently comes up from my clients, not frequently, but from time to time, is do they really need the services of a commercial real estate attorney? Lease reviews for New York City leases can be on the expensive side. Top attorneys, top real estate attorneys can charge $500, $600, $700, $800 an hour. It gets very, very costly. I've frequently been through this scenario that I'll work with a client for several months, maybe show them 10, 15 spaces, negotiate on maybe their preferred space, maybe on a couple of different properties, go back and forth for a few rounds with the landlord's broker, and finally reach agreement on business terms. So far so good. My client asked me to request a lease, and the lease comes back, and the lease can be 60, 70 pages. Very technical, difficult to read. I mean, I've been in this business for 15 years, and I can more or less go through a lease, but I do find some of the language complex at times, really meant more for attorneys. My client will take the lease, they'll get quotes from a few different attorneys, and they can get costs of $2,000, $3,000, $4,000 to review a lease. They get a really good deal. The lease isn't too long. It can be $1,500. And I've seen situations where my clients are irate and they ask me if I can review the lease. And generally I tell them, it's just, I'm a real estate broker. What we can do and what you should expect from a real estate broker is to check the lease to ensure that the terms in the lease conform to the negotiated business terms. Base rent, annual escalations, landlord's work, sublease clause, amount of the security deposit, whether there's a good guy guarantee, whatever is in the offer. I mean, that's reasonable for your broker to confirm that. Apart from that, the language can get very, very complex. Now let's assume an inexpensive commercial space in New York City is $4,000 a month. That's $48,000 a year. You sign a 5-year lease, and with the escalations, that's going to be $250,000. Do you really want to commit yourself, your company, to $250,000 of rent over several years without having an attorney really go through the lease? It's a false economy not to have an attorney review the lease language. The only time I would maybe make an exception, occasionally, some of the smaller landlords in New York City, I'll have a relatively simple lease, which is maybe 4, 5, 6 pages, and there's no curveballs, and you as a business owner, if you feel comfortable, can read through them. Your broker can even really give you some insight if it's necessary, and then you can save the expense. But if you're leasing a few thousand square feet and your investment in real estate is going to be several $100,000, do yourself a favor, retain the services of an attorney, and not just any attorney. Get yourself a New York City real estate attorney who specializes in the review of commercial leases, because I've seen this happen, and I mean, it can cause problems. Let's say you retain an attorney who's used to doing residential closings in Nassau County, and they really don't have experience reviewing leases. That's a disservice. They're going to focus in on language which is really kind of irrelevant. You need an attorney who does this day in and day out. And it's really kind of an art, because landlords will only generally negotiate a certain number of comments. If you have a lease out on the smallest space in a building, 500 square feet, and your attorney comes back with 75 comments for the smallest space in the building, your landlord or potential landlord is not going to accept a rewrite of the entire lease for the small space they have. So I would qualify a talented commercial real estate attorney as an attorney which is going to focus on the terms which can really have an impact on you as a business. Now what happens if you start leasing a larger space. Let's say you lease a full floor, 5,000 square feet, in a 10-story building with 50,000 square feet. Yeah, landlord's going to be more tolerant of negotiating language in that commercial lease. So you got to be really careful. You want your attorney to ask for as much as they can reasonably ask for, to focus on terms which are really going to could have a negative impact on you. And it's a better way to do things. And also a thing to remember is when you get a lease issued, a landlord generally expects those comments back within a week or so. And if you don't hire an attorney expeditiously and respond with comments, the landlord may be fielding other offers. They generally, once a lease has been issued, give you a grace period of 7 days, 10 days to respond with lease comments. Because what you have to remember, there's really two phases in acquiring a space, two negotiating phases. Phase one is through your broker, where you're negotiating business terms, and phase two is through your attorney, where you're actually negotiating the nitty-gritty language of a commercial lease. So I hope this advice has been useful to you. Have a nice evening, and until the next time, please subscribe to my YouTube channel if you find this information helpful. Good night now.